Hello everyone, Tina here. I hope you're having a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, today is Blog Hop Day, day 2. C&CT Stamp is having a blog hop, a 2-day long blog hop celebrating the brand new Make Magic release. And these are a few items that are in the release. This is called Petal Power. Super fun stamp set. It's 4x6. We'll be using that in a project today. This is the Flipped Like You. Very unique. I like that the image on the front of your envelope, for the most part, is the same size that it would be if you die cut it out. So for the most part, most of the envelopes that Simon has, it's the same size, which is really nice. So we're going to be using that today. Now this is a brand new background stamp. This is called Throwing Shapes. It's a 6x6 red rubber background stamp. It's very unique and geometric, and I think it's going to be really fun. We're going to use this on one of our cards today. But you can flip it any which way you want. You can do that with abstract shapes. Now these items I'm not going to create with today, but I did want to share with you. They're part of the same Make Magic release. This is so neat. This is called the Geometric Builders Hearts. There are hearts in here that when you die cut out, they'll die cut out in pieces. So you can, great way to use your scrap colored cardstock with these dies. Or even pattern papers, guys. Later on in the future, I'll be creating a card with this heart set, so keep a lookout for that video. Next, there's a brand new stamp set called Teacher Thank Yous. It's from C&CT Stamp and CC Designs. Fun sentiments in here, perfect for teachers. We all appreciate teachers, and this is a fabulous stamp set. And then there's a brand new slimline stencil. This is called the Slimline Floral Builder. It's nice for your slimline cards because it's the same length. It's actually a little bit bigger than your slimline cards, but there's grassy area, clouds, and then some pretty florals. We're going to create 3 projects today with the first 3 items that I showed you, and then we're going to get started in a minute, but I did want to share with you a brand new dot runner C&CT Stamp has. It comes in a pack of 3. And this is refillable, so you have 2 extra refills. It fits your palm very nicely, and I'm very picky about my tape runners because I use them a lot. This actually has 26.25 yards. I thought at first it was feet, but it's actually yards, so you get tons of tape in here. So I'm anxious to give this a try. We're going to jump in and get started with our Petal Power stamp set. Now this will create so many different kinds of flowers. Each of these petals are different patterns. You have polka dot stripes, plaids, zigzags, chevrons, you name it, it's in here. So I thought we'd just take the same color inks and stamp a whole bunch of different petals. I'm using the smaller petals, but there are larger petals in here too. So if you do scrapbooking, this would be great for that, or even for larger cards. I'm going to start with my first petal. I stamped that. I'm using my Concord Night inks. This is Sea Glass. And then my next color with the polka dots here is Oceanside. And then after we have this stamped, we're going to grab another one of our petals. We're going to stamp our next color with our Peacock ink. I went with teals and blues. We need 5 different colors, so I had to throw a Midnight in here, which is more of a blue than teal, but I think it's going to work. After we have this one stamped, we'll grab one more. This one actually has thanks all over it, or friend, I'm sorry. The larger one has thanks. This is a smaller petal that has friend on it. We'll stamp that with Midnight. And then we'll take our last flower petal, and I think with this one we're going to do the one that has 2 lines on it. And then we're going to stamp this with our Aqua Sky ink. It's kind of a light color, and my ink pad's drying out a bit, but I think we can get it on there. Okay, now the leaves have different patterns too, which are pretty fabulous. So I'm bringing in some green inks. We're going to grab, there's large and small, and I'm going to use, we're going to make a smaller flower, but I'm going to use both sizes of leaves. This is a larger leaf. This ink is Parsley. We'll stamp this. I'm going to see if I can get them all on this piece of cardstock. Next, we're going to grab our Sprout ink pad and grab a smaller leaf, and we'll ink this up with our Sprout. I think this is my favorite color of green. Okay, we're going to take, oh, that was a larger polka dot. We're going to take the smaller leaf now that has the maybe the plaid kind of a print. We'll stamp that with our Clover ink pad. And these are great too for mini ink pads. And I think I'm going to stamp this one more time, but I want to bring back my Sprout ink pad. I kind of like the crisscross pattern here. And I think we can make room. Now there's a whole bunch of different flower centers in here. There's solids, there's small ones, big ones, and there's some that look like a dark, have a circle pattern in there. And I think I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to ink it up with my butter cup ink pad, stamp that, and I think that will create a real pretty flower. There are stems in here too. There's a straight stem, and then there's a curved one. So if you want to put your flower on the stem, you have that option too. Now, I'm pretty darn sure that Simon has coordinating dies that will die cut out these petals. They're very easy to fussy cut out, so that's just what I did. I don't have the dies, but I'll list them below if you guys want to check it out. I just fussy cut them out, and then now we're going to work on our background. I'm bringing in a embossing folder from Spellbinders. This is has a whole bunch of hearts on there. I just don't know the name of it offhand, but I'll list it below. It's just going to have some rows of hearts, and I'm going to keep my background basically white, so I thought that would be pretty. Okay, after we have that embossed, I did trim my panel down so it's slightly, no, actually this is going to fit my entire card front, so it's a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch embossed panel. I'm going to take some white cardstock and my little thanks die here. This die set is not part of the brand new release. This has been out a while, but it's called the Small Script Trio. I die cut out thanks 3 times and then layered them together for a little bit of dimension. Now we're going to go ahead and adhere our embossed panel to our card base. Once we have that adhered, I have a little bit overhanging. We'll trim that off, and then I did bring in some black cardstock. I wanted to put, I wanted something very bold for the bottom of this card base, so I thought black would work out perfectly. I'm just going to add some tape behind here and add this to the very bottom. This way my thanks will stand out, which I did adhere with my glue. And then I'm going to go ahead and I kind of placed my petals the way I wanted them first, and then I removed the release paper as I went around there. I found that easier to do, and then this way, if I didn't like where one was positioned, the release paper was still on there, and I have time to shift it. But I think that looks so pretty. And this is the smaller one. I think the larger one would fit on an A2 size card too. I'm going to put bells and whistles on this in just a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and start working on our next card project. Now for our next one, I have a piece of white cardstock, and we're going to use the flipped Like You wafer thin die. I just didn't want a card that says like you on it. I mean, because I like a lot of people, but I wanted to do something special with this. So I am going to take this panel and die cut the Like You out 3 times on here. The bottom 2 will have a small gap, and then the top I'm going to leave about a 1/2 inch gap. Nice thing is you could flip it any way you want, and you'll get the same effect. I want to go ahead and add some adhesive behind here, and then I have a piece of acetate that I'm going to add to the back side. I want to inlay all the little pieces to the E's and the O's, and so acetate will help it. But you know what, guys, you don't have to use your acetate for this. You can use the packaging that your stamp set came in. Just tape it down. You just need something to adhere your little inside pieces of the O and the inside pieces of the E to. This way it's put back together. I have all my extra pieces. Keep those too. Put them in your package because it'll spell out like you, and you can have these for later on for quick and easy cards. I'm just going to add a very small dot of glue and my O's and my E's, and then I'm going to go ahead and inlay all of my inner pieces. And the sun's going in and out, so that's why my coloring of my video is changing. Sorry about that. But we're all put back together, and I think it's going to be fabulous. I'm going to go ahead and flip this panel over and cut some very thin strips of foam adhesive. This way this will be ready to be popped up on my card base. For my card base today, I'm going to bring in the Hero Hues Peacock color. I love the Hero Hues cardstock because of the weight of it. It's very nice heavy weight, but I just trimmed down the card front panel. My card base is actually white. I'm going to bring that in a minute. Now here's where I'm going to finish off my sentiment. All these little extra pieces here will actually, I wanted to spell out no one. So my sentiment will say no one like you. And I have all the letters. The U is actually not an N, but you can make it an N by just flipping it around. So that's what I did. That's how we can flip it. So I spelled no one, adhered them to my black cardstock here, and then once we have this adhered, I'm going to trim it down to the width of my white panel here. I thought that worked out so good, and I think it looks really good with the rest of the letters. I'm going to go ahead and add foam adhesive behind this strip. This is going to be one layer higher, and then we'll adhere this in that open area of our die cut panel. And I think this is really fun. I think it worked out perfect. Okay, after we have this done, I'm going to go ahead and remove the release paper off of the back side, bring in my card base, and then I'm going to go ahead and adhere this to the right of my card base. I'm leaving about a 1/2 inch gap on the left, only because I want to add some black and white baker's twine, and then tie a bow where that black no one is. I think that's going to really balance it out. To do that, since it's a top folding card, I'm just going to use my tweezers. If you have a hole punch, you could do that. Tweezers or your tool-in-one, your craft pick. Just poke a hole here at the seam, and go ahead and thread some baker's twine through here, and then loop it on the inside and tie a bow with it. I think it works out fabulous. Okay, that's card 2. We'll embellish it in a little bit. We're going to work on our third project today. Now I'm going to stamp this with white embossing powder. I'll bring in the Misty, and then, I'm going to stamp this with my Versamark ink and then heat emboss it with white embossing powder. But I want to tell you guys that today's video is actually part of a blog hop. There's a giveaway to go along with the blog hop, so I encourage you guys to check it out. There's so much inspiration with the Assignments to Stamp blog hop. You will surely get inspired. But I'm going to go ahead and ink up some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. We're going to do a little ink blending after we heat emboss. So Bristol Smooth ink blends so nice. So I think, and there's a lot of area in here that we're going to ink blend our whole background, so that's why I'm using Bristol Smooth. Once my panel is melted, we are good to go. I'm trying to show you the surface area of our heat embossing. We did a lot of it, but I think it's going to look fabulous in the open areas. Now I have 4 different colors of Distress Oxide inks, and we're going to start off with Squeezed Lemonade. This is going to go on the very top. We're just going to kind of evenly space out our colors. After we have Squeezed and Lemonade here, we're going to bring in Twisted Citron. We'll ink blend these two together. I'm going to bring back my Squeezed Lemonade brush and blend them out. This was super easy to do because you have that smooth surface area of your embossed image. Next color is Peacock Feathers. We're going to ink this up and overlap Peacock Feathers with our Twisted Citron, blending these two together. And then after we have this done, we're going to bring in our last color, which is Mermaid Lagoon. Kind of a lot of teals in here. So Mermaid Lagoon will be on the very bottom, and then I have to bring in some Post-it note tape so I don't have inky fingers, which didn't happen. I ended up having inky fingers anyway, but not as much, I suppose. Needed to add a little bit more of the peacock feathers here. Okay, now you can see we just covered up our white embossing detail here. So I'm going to bring in my towel and I'm going to buff away all of that ink from my white embossed area. And very easy to do. You just rub it away and the ink will stick to the paper and not to your embossed area. But isn't that a pretty pattern? The nice thing about this stamp set is the 6x6, so you can do it left, right, top or bottom, and get different effects every time. I'm eventually going to trim down my panel, but before we do that, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. The sentiment that I'm using is from an older stamp set, and it's called Just Because Word Mix. Just Because Word Mix 2. This is such a nice set because you're not just stamping one sentiment, you're stamping a whole bunch, so you can just keep those leftover pieces and put them in your package or on your scrap bin for instant sentiments for cards. I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp them, and we'll stamp one more time. Now the nice thing about this is there's 2 of these that are in the stamp set. It's a 6x8 set. And then you can buy the coordinating die that will die cut out both sets. That's nice too. This has been around for a while. You guys probably know that already. Let's take the die here, line it up, and then we're going to die cut out our sentiment. Lots of sentiments in here. And I think what's going to work best for my card today is the one that says Sending Happy Thoughts. It's the solid black one with the white lettering. I think that's going to work out great. We'll put the rest of these aside. I'm going to go ahead and trim down my background panel so it's just slightly smaller than my card base. I just basically took a 1/4 inch off. This way I have about 1/8 of an inch all around my white card base. We're going to adhere this panel to the front of our card. And then I think we're going to need something to go behind our sentiment. I did pop it up with some foam squares, but I'm bringing in some diagonal striped black and white paper. The paper pad that I'm using is from MFT. I use this quite often, but because it has a horizontal and then diagonal stripes in it. This looks great behind some black or white cardstock. I just trimmed down a 2-inch square. This is going to leave me a nice border around my sentiment. I'm going to pop my sentiment right in the center here. And I think we need to break it up just a little bit, so I'm bringing in a 1/2 inch strip of black cardstock. We're going to adhere that to the top of our ink blended background here, and then I'm going to offset a little bit my sentiment right over it, almost like a belt buckle, Sending Happy Thoughts. And then we're going to embellish. Now I'm going to use my Nuvo Simply White crystal drops and add some white detail to the flower center here. And I did add Nuvo drops to my Sending Happy Thoughts card, but I ended up changing it. I ended up changing it to some Simon Says Stamp Moonshine sequins. I just think that looked a lot better. You can see here in the close-ups. But that's my project today, guys. I hope you joined us for the blog hop. Have a fabulous day. Thanks so much for stopping by. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.